Hi and welcome. Here we are today on this masterclass. I'm here, Michael Wozniak, with Nathalie de Marseille,
Hi, everyone.
and we are privileged today to have with us Tim Galway. Hi, Tim.
Hi, Mikhail,
How are you doing?
and Natalie too. I'm doing
Hello.
at this moment. I'm doing fine, and I hope nobody wrecks that.
Excellent.
I'll take responsibility for that part.
Excellent. Okay, so we are here tonight for a masterclass where we have about 600 people who registered from 43 countries. We received a lot of questions. We have synthesized those questions. So if you're lucky enough, your question will be asked here to Tim. And yeah, I think we're going to go as smooth as possible. Just a few words about Tim. Tim is, for me, a reference. He's somebody I know of for many years because each time I was studying coaching in coaching schools or so, we're talking about Tim Galway, the inner game of tennis. Even in my trainings that I give in coaching, I was talking about him, and once I said, "Okay, I need to go and train with him." That's what I did, and I'm very happy today.
What, 2 weeks ago?
Yeah, 2 weeks ago, this was the inner game of sport, and last year, at the end of the year, it was the trainers training, so the facilitator training. So perfect. We're really honored to have you here. Thank you, Tim.
I'm honored to be here, really.
The father of coaching.
Yeah, modern
also.
coaching.
Modern coaching?
Yeah, because it's modern, it's good.
Coaching in a day of accelerating change.
Yeah. Mm. So also we were greeting a lot of people who are just saying hello now on YouTube. So hi everyone, and we can start right away. And the first question that has been asked is from Aurora from Spain, and she said, okay, "This is the following question: I heard of you in my coaching training, but I didn't clearly understand what self one and self two are precisely. Could you explain?"
Well, I hope it'll be precise enough. Neither one can be defined, but you all have an experience of a voice in your head telling you how good or not good you are at something, how you should do it better, and how you should not do it to do even worse than you are now. That's self one. And all the following comments he has to make in evaluating you, your performance, and how you're looking to others. That's a favorite of his. Self two, very different, very quiet. The best two words to describe it is your inherent inner intelligence that's been growing during its experience of this life. So practice with the right focus coming from self two does make perfect, or as perfect as you can be at the time. So the whole point of the inner game is to reduce the interference of self one. Don't try to quiet him. He'll win. I guarantee. He'll come in different forms and different shapes, in nice voices and not nice voices. He'll try everything to get control of you and make you think you're the success and you're the failure. Okay. Self two, is always there, but until you become a little familiar with it, it doesn't make any sense to trust it. But even in the beginning of a tennis lesson, some people just keep on trusting it because it feels so good and it works so well that they don't have to be told to trust it. It's fun. Self one will come back, try to figure out what self two is doing, and then he'll tell you to do it that way. Guess what? All the magic dissolves, goes away. Gotta make clear choice, sincere choice every moment, really, every point, every hour, every day. So I hope that's enough for you.
Yeah.
And well, not you, you've had more. Oh, you've heard enough. So, if it hasn't been enough for those in the audience, keep listening.
Yeah.
The subject will keep coming up.
Fantastic. We also have a question from Stephen from Australia. He's asking, regarding the possibility of reaching high performance, did you see more differences or more similarities between various sports like golf, tennis, etc.?
All of the above. But I saw more similarities with the differences. Many differences.
Mm-hmm.
They all amounted to the same interferences and the same potentialities of self two. So with all the variety of sports, team sports, individual sports, complicated sports, not complicated, esports, and field sports or court sports, it all gets down to the same. How much of our potential do we allow? And to what extent do we interfere with that potential at whatever level of the performance, not just sports, are we playing? Shall I give you a simple anecdote?
Yeah, sure.
We'll let you know why I'm a little bit excited about this. It comes from the tennis court, but it happened, I'd say in my third year of coaching with the inner game approach as I understood it then. A player came, there was an audience of students, coaches, and he declared in front of all, very brave assertion. I am the worst backhand volleyer of anyone in the world. I said, wow, I've never seen the worst backhand volleyer in the world. I'd be delighted for you to show me. And he hesitated. I hit him a few balls and he went like this, like this. And I thought to myself, well, I don't know for sure, but that's got to come pretty close. Close enough. And there was so many things wrong that I didn't know where to start focusing his attention. So I said to him, you know, the one thing I don't know from seeing your stroke is how you would like to hit it someday. If we work together for a couple of years, 3 to 5 years, at the end of it, how would you like to be hitting the ball? I gotta get up to show this. He goes, like that. I said, is that it? He said, no, it's not. I said, like this. Is that it? No, more like this. And the fourth shot was this aggressive, flowing, strong backhand into the corner. I said, oh. I forgot one little part of that conversation. After I said, I'd like to know, I don't know how you'd like to hit it, he started telling me. I said, no. Don't bother me with the words. Just show me how someday you'd like to hit it. And then the rest followed no more than 5 minutes. The audience started laughing because it was so abrupt. And for some reason, I heard myself telling them, be quiet, don't burst the bubble, let me do it.
Yeah.
So after a few more, I said, you know, it's too bad you can't do that right now. And he went like this. I said, yeah, that's the way you do it now. But show me again how you'd like to do it someday. So he, as soon as he found himself doing what he knew he, quote, knew he couldn't do, he went back to the defensive backhand. And when I would say, and how would you like to? Pa, pa, pa. So it just took one little phrase to trigger self-2.
Yeah.
And he went back and forth. And I let him experience both.
Yeah.
After 15 minutes or so, I said, so, okay, I think that's enough. Time to pick up the balls. So we're picking up the balls and he comes to me shaking, eyes focused on mine, saying, so who am I? You can understand the confusion.
Yeah.
I said, you're not either one. You're not your volley.
Yeah.
You've shown yourself you can do either one. They look very different. One, you were allowing something to happen that you didn't even know was there. You just imagined or intuited how you would like it to be. And it's certainly your choice. And I won't blame you if you go back and forth for a week or two, a year or two. I certainly did. And not so dramatically, I might say, but enough that I could tell there was still self-one interference happening.
Could
Yes.
could we say that self one is like the conscious mind and self two is the unconscious mind? Could we
You
understand
could,
it like
would
that?
be- you could, if you understood conscious.
Yeah.
But most people identify conscious mind with what I'm trying to do.
Mm.
Yeah.
Well, this guy was trying to hit it hard and powerfully. But because he knew he couldn't, his muscles tightened and prevented him to. That was unconscious.
Mm-hmm.
So conscious mind had set the goal, and unconscious mind followed the unconscious belief.
Mm.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But the unconscious mind didn't have any programming that he couldn't show someone how he'd like to do it someday. He'd probably never been asked.
Yeah.
So there was no competition at the beginning until I introduced, this is how you do it.
Mm-hmm.
This is how you'd like to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Too bad you can't do it like you'd like to do it, like you're doing it now in this moment.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So not so definable,
Yeah.
but ask Renato, it's happens every time.
Yeah.
Sometimes to different extents. It's not saying something doesn't always make that something that worked once do it.
Yeah.
There are many factors.
Mm.
So the
Okay.
coach has to keep learning, and the student needs to keep learning.
Yeah.
And the coach needs to unlearn that he doesn't have anything to learn himself.
Yeah.
It's only the coachee who needs to learn.
Yeah.
So even if you actually know so much about coaching, what to say next will come from the student.
Yeah.
He'll say that, and it'll bring up from yourself too what needs to be said. And then you'll repeat it next time.
Excellent.
And it won't work. If you don't believe that, try golf.
Yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely. I do believe it.
Thanks.
Golfers are always finding the secret.
Yes.
What's the secret? Something you can learn to tell yourself that will make you hit the ball as well as you hit your best ball.
Yeah.
but you're always disappointed because you had an expectation. This guy didn't have any expectations of doing it. He didn't know how he wanted to do it, and he started here. No, that's not. How'd you know that was what you wanted to do?
Yeah.
How did you know? He didn't expect it. He was surprised.
Hmm.
And he kept on doing it
Yeah.
for a while until I broke the bubble. But long enough for him to know.
Yeah.
Self 2 was there, ready to help, always. Okay.
Good. Thank you. The next question is from Julien from France. He's asking, do you think that high performance is better achieved by using all of our 5 senses or just the ones we are more comfortable with?
I haven't yet found a use for taste in high performance, but that excludes master chefs. So definitely that sense. Frankly, almost doesn't matter what sense you use to focus your attention, as long as that is appropriate to the player, his understanding, and the critical variable of the thing that he's learning. Critical variable sounds like a scientific name.
Yeah.
It's on purpose so people will take it seriously. Critical means important. Variable means something that changes. One more anecdote from tennis, because I know there will be a question, I'm sure. Does this just work with beginners? Or does this work with advanced players? Well, sometimes they need to be approached differently. I was asked by the captain of the British Davis Cup team to work with a member of the team, high-level player, had great ground strokes from the ground, forehand and backhand, but never, almost never, came to net to put the ball away. He was so confident of his ground strokes, he stayed there. So I got to England, I was there, and made a visit appointment with the captain. And he introduced me to this player and asked the player, he said, would you like to work for 15 or 20 minutes with Tim Galway who's come from California, downtown London, actually, to help you with your volley? He hesitated, thought, and said, no, thank you very much for offering. And thinking I knew why, or having seen this before, I said, before you make your final decision, I'd like to make a promise to you. that if we work together, I promise you, I will never try to improve any of your strokes. What? What? What are you going to do? I'm just going to try to make you a little more aware of how you're hitting them now. That's all. Shrugged his shoulder, said, I don't see any harm in that. There's a lot in his answer.
Yes.
It revealed what he was expecting, to be told how to improve his volley. That's why the coach had invited me there. Something was wrong with me, right? That's the context for 99.5% of all tennis lessons at every level. Oh, so I knew what promise to make. We started hitting balls, and I noticed that he hit the balls very late, as if he didn't want to hit them.
Mm.
He waited for the last moment. So I just asked him to imagine a little clock hitting them right, even with his waist, his body turned sideways, would be 3 o'clock. And this would be 2 o'clock. This would be 1 o'clock. And this would be 12. Right there, front. 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock. So he started.
Hello, ciao bambina. How are you?
You know?
Bambina is fine, but you're on
Okay, it's
international
okay.
television.
It's okay.
So this Davis Cup player just started telling me the time according to how he noticed where his body, where his racket hit, made contact with the ball. Started off at 3, went to 3:30, went back to 3, 2:30, 2:32, 1:31, 1:30, 1:30, 1, 1, 1, 1. And, you know, a big smile occurred on his face. And I said, so how'd that feel? He said, felt really easy. How did it work? It worked great. I was so surprised. And I said, okay, it won't take so long with the backhand. Just keep telling me the time. Don't try. Oh, in fact, I skipped a little because I'm in a rush. I said, did you try to change your volley? Because I told him not to try to change it. And he said, no, honest, I didn't. My racket did it. This is very often the answer you get from tennis players. It was so easy, so natural. The tight tennis player doesn't even recognize it's them hitting it. Sometimes I say, oh, smart tennis racket. Is that a head by any chance? Seldom is. If it is, I say, well, that's why you hit it so well. Otherwise, it's maybe you should buy a head. And then I'll go ahead and promote it. No, it gets through. Rackets don't have coordination. Internal coordination does it. Apes have it. Monkeys have it. Squirrels have it. Panda bears have it. Okay? They've learned it in the course of millions of years of evolution. And they've don't doubt it, usually.
Absolutely.
Well, sometimes they're head of a bigger animal and they get stressed. And they do what human beings do, either fly, run, even though the bigger animal can run faster, or not too many of them fight, but if they do, they don't fight again.
Hmm.
And the larger animal has lunch. So the idea is to shorten that evolutionary time for the human being that's evolved over many millions of years, does have an enlarged nervous system, and that works pretty well when you let it. But if you think your little cerebral cortex can give it orders, try and see how it works and how it feels and what the tone of voice is of the one speaking in your head.
Yeah.
Just learn from experience. So that's long enough for France.
We have a very interesting question from Nina from Russia. She's asking, how did you discover how self one and self two works? How was that you discovered all of this?
I didn't read it in a book. I made up those terms, and my learning happened as I followed a commitment that I'd made. My commitment was, I want to see how much learning I can see in front of me with how little teaching. And over a few months, that led to very little teaching. About a long time to around 3 months, I learned that it's not teaching to ask someone to be aware. And with beginning players, you don't ask them tell them what to be aware of, because they'll automatically assume that's what's wrong.
Hmm.
So just say, be aware of your body. Some of them then I would say, what part of your body were you most aware? Some of them would say, my wrist. What's going on with your wrist? Oh, it's really wobbly. That's okay. Just notice the degree of wobbly as you continue to hit. See if it stays the same, gets more wobbly, or more firm. Gotta do one of the three. So watch, just notice what happens. And, wobbles, less, wobbles, less, pow, pow, pow. and straight, straight, straight. This can hit hard sometimes with the wobble if you time perfectly the snap of your wrist with where the ball is. If you don't, it'll go who knows where. Not you. And so I've also had answers like, I wasn't aware of anything, which means they thought I meant, are you aware of what you're doing wrong?
Mm.
That's whatever you say, the programming of the student is. He's trying to fix you.
Mhm.
He's trying to fix you. Ego rebels. And want you at least to tell him how it should be so he can then tighten his cheeks and try to do it. And also most of his muscles that aren't needed to do that. So when this guy said I didn't experience anything, did you notice by any chance that your body was, your feet were standing on the court or below you on the court? Well, yeah, I knew that. I know, but were you aware of? Oh, that's what you mean by aware. Yeah, that's what I mean by aware. Let's do it again. And it just means being aware. They use the word conscious at the beginning. Carefully, not just be aware. Okay, next thing. Oh, I remember. Short anecdote. I asked this to one guy who was much too tight, and his answer after we'd gone through the awareness part, like, oh, you just mean feel whatever part you feel. Yeah. So he got that, hit him a few more balls, and his body seemed to relax. But I couldn't say good. Otherwise, I was trying to change who he was or what he was. So I stayed with my question. What part of your body did you experience or did you feel? He said the one part of his body I couldn't see. Well, not the only one, but one that for sure. He said, my toes inside his tennis shoes. I said, oh, tell me what's going on with your toes. Oh, they're feeling tight.
Mm.
I said, okay, keep noticing the degree of tightness. How tight are they now? 10 is as tight as they can be. I said, oh, about a 5. I said, okay, just keep hitting a few. And he did. And they gradually didn't feel good. Relaxed. And his balls got more fluid because his whole body picked up on that and relaxed. Not really relaxed. I'll have to cover that. But relaxed enough to be hitting wonderful shots, much better shots. Shelf 2 shots. Why not tell them to relax? Then they could lie on the tennis court, speak up to me saying, what shall I do now? So a tennis shot is not relaxed. That's relaxed fingers, but my arms, forearms, biceps aren't relaxed. They're not tight. They're not relaxed just enough to hold my arms up. So if you want to play perfect tennis from your thought, it's really easy. Just memorize the names of all the muscles, several hundred or more. They all have complicated names. And then muscle groups, not just strands, but groups. Follow the same instructions from the nervous system. Then, when you want to take your racket back, just tell the muscles that you're needed to tighten, to bring the racket back. Tell the rest to relax. Don't let your feet have a little bit of muscle in them. And then you want to actually shift the weight on your feet. So you've got to give them instructions. At the same time, your racket is coming forward, hitting the ball and following through. Okay? Want to try? No way. Okay. Remember that. Pros don't know how they hit the ball.
Yeah.
They can do it. They can do it quite regularly till they get nervous, but they can do it more consistently because it's felt good and it worked all the way along during their practice, gradually by gradually. Pancho Gonzalez was asked to write a book about tennis. He put grip at the top of the page, and he said, I don't know what to write. He went to the closet, grabbed his racket, put his hand on it, and started typing with one hand. So you can say I'm reverting back to the simplicity of the existence of an inner intelligence that may not know how to hit a tennis ball, but it's had millions of years of evolution of learning how to learn from experience. That's all it's had. It hadn't had much language. Maybe a few here and there, I don't know. They learned it all by what felt, as far as I could figure out, this is just me. So take it with a grain of salt. What felt good and what worked. To me, it's kind of obvious. It's what I'm seeing over and over again, stands behind. Whenever they try to correct what they think they're doing wrong, they tighten up. Here's a law of self-one. When in doubt, tighten.
Yeah.
When in doubt, tighten. You could all reflect on the way you shake hands.
Yeah.
If it's as strong as you can. And this great guy, 6 inches taller than you, with twice the muscle mass, he said, okay. You know, you're trying to show them how strong you are, not trying to show who you are.
Yeah.
A human being meeting another human being. Nothing to prove, nothing to show off. Just, I'm here.
Yeah. It's a nice
You're here.
metaphor. Yeah.
So very simple.
Yeah.
Let's go on.
It's interesting because we're talking about sport, and now there is a question from Eugene from Canada who's asking how to apply inner game principles to work.
Work's a very big field.
Yeah.
Even bigger and bigger and bigger than sport. Work is something you can be doing when you don't even have a job.
Yeah.
I'm self-employed. I work a lot. Sometimes I have a boss in there,
Mhm.
and he's not the kind of boss you'd want to have. He never has enough time. And he always wants, not he, one he's talking to always seems to go too long. You'll notice it from time to time. But no. So he likes to be in control, as everybody else's self one does. And self two waits till I'm ready, to whatever extent I'm ready, to let go of control and let what knows better, has shown me he knows better how to take control. Gradually. I get it when I'm talking about it. I even get it more.
We have
That
a
answer her
question.
question.
Yeah.
Maybe
Yes.
not all. One anecdote.
Yes.
Yes. Mhm.
The last question was about high performance. The managers at work and your little manager inside want high performance. Of course, that's the one thing they know is important. They may not know what it is, but high means, or I'm doing it now, or my best. How universal is that definition? Work should be done with your highest performance, or at least at the level we say. Could be higher, but this is our standard. Do they ever say, enjoy yourself? Not very often. Do they ever come up to you and say, what are you learning? Not, maybe never. Is everybody who works at all moments, at whatever level they're performing at, somewhere between evolving rapidly to medium level, evolving, learning something, but very gradually, and devolving. Is it possible for human beings to devolve? What does that mean? Grow less human while they're working. When the boss comes up and says, how are you doing? Fine. And where did you find that anger? Oh, I didn't want him to ask me anymore. Wanted to get away from him. I suspected he'd be trying to peak my performance. Big mistake, trying to peak it, unless you can be tricky about it, like saying, how would you like to play someday? And they never say that. How would you like to do the assembly line someday? And anyway, learning is for HR. Learning is for the classroom. Learning doesn't happen from experience until it's you who have to take a higher position with higher challenges. Then you want to learn from your experience, not by being told. And you say, wow, because I took this job and this job and this job, I learned. So I put my credentials there. Well, how did you learn? Well, I kind of learned as I went. And exactly how? How does that work? How do you do that? How would you tell somebody else to do that? Any way to do it a little more smooth? A little more without going up and down all the time? Oh, well, no. I'm not a psychologist. No, me neither. I took one college course in psychology and then a B.F. Skinner course in behavior modification, starting with pigeons and going to human beings. Not negative reinforcement, as punishment. He was enlightened. Just positive reinforcement. That a boy, that's what I wanted. Control is where? With the reinforcer, as it was with Skinner. He flashed lights when the pigeon did the correct behavior and made a sound. And the pigeon tended to do more of those behaviors than the others. After they'd been doing them more enough, a food trough would come up. Pigeon would take a long time because he made them hungry to eat the seeds, whatever he fed them. I was there in the class and I was scared. I was scared he was right. That the way you learn is a positive reinforcement.
Mhm.
And then his first words in class, he looked out at the audience, about 100. He said, I don't like what I see. Too many Harvard men and not enough Radcliffe girls. It's going to give you guys an unfair advantage. That was his motivational speech. It's not like he went out and got more Radcliffe girls. He just said, oh, we're going to learn something that's important to us. Anyway, it went on like that. And halfway through, he wasn't very far. His task, he asked the class, what do you want me to have the pigeon do? They said, move in counterclockwise circles, jump in counterclockwise circles on his left foot. By halfway through the class, he was going like this a lot. Much more than this. but a long way from hopping. The only reason I extend this anecdote, you've already got the gist of it. But the crowning blow is very relevant to modern times. After halfway through the class, good, he's not going to be able to do it. And he just hit one other button. It was a button that turned the light on and made the sound go off, but didn't put out the food trough. And he saved all that time by not having to wait for the silly pigeon to get his own needs met. Let you take that in as much as it wants to go. At the end, jumping on clockwise circles, counterclockwise on his left foot, and everyone was impressed. I was still scared until my roommate started dating his daughter. I hope he's not alive. Whoever that person was. Correction. I don't think I got his name right. But whoever he was, he had a daughter. My roommate started dating her. Didn't know I was even taking the course. And came back and told me after a few days, that guy can't get his daughter to wear shoes in downtown Boston. I said, really? And I relaxed. I said, I thought so, but I liked the confirming evidence. And so a little later, I'll give another work example, but I know that our time is limited. I didn't hear Self One's voice, but I knew I would pretty soon. So, or yours. Okay, that was good, Tim. Let's go on. Okay. Should we go on?
Yeah.
Speaking of just the current times, we have Catherine from Israel who is asking, in what direction should we orient changes in the time we are living in?
In the time we are living in.
Mm.
Yeah.
I was just answering that question.
Mm.
Okay. You've got the anecdote. I'll give another one.
Mm.
But let the learner be the learner. The learner is in charge. How do I know? He's got 2 ears. And when he hears you, he has a choice, letting it go through that tube, it takes it out the other one, or having it go up into the head, I'll think about it, or that reminds me, or I don't agree, or down to where you are. And it's his or her choice. The coach has something to do with it. Makes it easier or harder to take in. We've learned enough to say the student's in charge. We'll just test them and give them a mark at the end. That'll motivate them. but we don't really believe it. I'm the teacher. And when I went to graduate school to get my MA or degree in teaching, I was taught how to teach. So my recommendation for these days, teach the very minimum. Provide experience for the rest. I know your class isn't long enough to do experiences for everybody. But guess what? Their life is long enough to get experience. And believe it or not, almost whatever they do, they can learn what they want to do.
Mm.
And they can always put themselves in an environment that's conducive to learning that. Now, we could have an argument about that. But who's the teacher here? Okay. So teach what needs to be taught, which is much not less than you think. And let them learn, just show enough. We're on digital communication here.
Mm.
I can't even see you in your eyes. And if your head is moving, if you're asleep, I can't get even the littlest clue. The only clues I have are, are my two colleagues interested. And they seem to be.
Yes.
Please don't look interested when you're not. I'm looking. And one tool you can use in modern days is, given the modern day, the modern era, the modern culture that the particular person or class happens to be emerged in, like at Harvard, be smarter than everybody else. Never raise your hand if you don't know. But listen closely to when the teacher speaks, when other people are raising their hand, like that, but don't give way. And when you're in a conversation with another colleague or student, you know what to do. Just win the discussion. So, if you know that that's the culture, you can say things that kind of relax it a little bit. Like, what would you do if you had no idea at all what to do? I might do this. That might be really stupid. It might be really creative. Usually one of the two. And often really creative because they don't want to look stupid. So it just means what they hear, he's taking off the boundaries of good or agreeing with him or smart. If you didn't have a clue, what would you do? It's not a bad mindset, believe it or not, to take into your doing. However much you know, it won't hurt to say to yourself, I don't really know how to do this best. And you'll find subtle things that can be changed.
Mm.
that you never thought of, because you could get the job done a certain amount of tightness,
Hmm.
certain amount of self-consciousness, not self-awareness.
Mm.
Self-conscious has come to mean what? What's self-conscious mean? Anxious about themselves. Now, if you go to advanced classes and somebody dares say the word consciousness, you may think, oh no, that's, I do. I try to be conscious, just let my hair down. I try to be as conscious as I can be every day, even now.
Mm.
Conscious of me, conscious of the other person to whom I'm speaking, conscious too of the interferences they might have hearing this subject matter, which is so simple that it could be repeated to a stranger 3 or 4 sentences, whole thing. The guy would leave. Doesn't sound like anything to me. But like many of the truths of things, the deeper you go, the simpler they are. Well, don't go too deep.
Yeah.
Don't go too simple, because I need a little complexity. Just pay attention.
Mm.
So give me a few examples. More complex, but interesting. Vice president of AT&T comes for a tennis lesson, doesn't announce himself, gets a lesson from the assistant to the assistant to the assistant. After the lesson, comes to me in the courtyard and says, "We're having lunch, Tim." "Oh, are you Tim Galway?" He does start with a question. "Are you Tim Galway?" Yes. "We're having lunch today." I knew I had no appointments for lunch. That was very rare. But we were at a kind of country club setting. And I said, okay. In about 2 minutes, he described the situation at AT&T. Person who asked about work, have your ears? AT&T was at the time the largest corporation in the world. But the Supreme Court, in all their wisdom, ruled that they could have only 6 months to become corporate marketing enterprise. No more monopoly.
Mm.
No more wanting to improve your bottom line and simply charge more.
Mhm.
It was easy for these guys.
Yeah.
Because there was no other telephone. So he ended up coming to my home, where my then wife and I were asked to talk a little bit about Inner Game. We did. He went around his room, the room that he had packed with, not packed, 6 of his top managers. Under him, he was in charge of change at AT&T. in this 6 months. And he had come, the one thing he did say was, I think you may know something about change that I don't understand.
Mm.
And I said, well, okay. Flashing into my mind, or his license plates. About a month after I'd been working for AT&T, not hired for some tasks. And it was self one. No, excuse me, it was self two. He had self two license plates. Self one had told him to put them on his car. So the anecdote I wanted to tell you about is from the lower level in the workforce. There are also anecdotes from the middle level and the higher level. All of them I was put in touch with because every level wanted to know, will Intergame work here? And so I was invited into the vice president of telephone operators asking me that question. Will Intergame work with our telephone operators? We have 3 performance standards. They're okay on productivity, which is defined as every call shorter than 2.5 seconds. Second, they're okay on accuracy, getting the numbers into the computer given to them by the customer, so the customer could be connected to the numbers he said. Now imagine, this is the call, except I missed one part. Have a good day. The operator repeats the number. Says, have a good day. Got 25 seconds. I want you to imagine, what could they be doing differently in 26.5 seconds? Before I leave the vice president, he gives the 3rd level of performance, which is courtesy. And he says, that's the part I need your help in. Can you help? And I said, on one condition, I'll give it a try, give it a go. What's the condition? That I don't have to talk about courtesy. Stop for a second. I don't care what you talk about, so long as those ratings done by third parties go up dramatically. I said, no problem. I said, okay, got a deal. You've got 6 hours, 1 hour a week for 6 weeks. That's a few more hours than we have here. But it was just on those 26.5 seconds of work. And then how do I make this short? I go into the telephone operators, I say, how's work? Boring. And then say, some of them 20 years in this job, 26.5 seconds, do the math. How long in 8 hours a day with maybe an hour and a half for breaks, including lunch, for 20 years. And some of them said, and stressful, because the 26.5 seconds was stressful, making sure you got the numbers actually right, and then trying to be courteous. So mostly the 26.5 seconds. Red lights went on above them if they happen to be longer. So I wondered, well, what's the ball here?
Mm.
Oh, the customer's voice coming into the court of the operator who has to repeat what is being said and then physically put it into a computer and then say, have a good day. Unless the other guy says it first, she says, and you have a good day too, sir. But they don't say it like that. And have a good day. If you heard telephone operators, you may be too young. They sound about like robots. After 8 hours a day of doing this for a few months, hello? Yes, I'll get you Skyline 1 7054. Have a good day. It just goes monotone and mechanical. And little exaggeration, but not much. And I'm not exaggerating. I'm getting too warm in this room. Do you mind if I take my sweater off?
No.
Of course not.
I didn't think you would. I don't know if I'd have done it anyway if you had some reason that the photograph had to be constant. Didn't want to be changing people. Okay.
Yeah. Well,
So-
we have one final question, which would be very interesting to.
How much time have we gone?
We're about to be done. We're about to be done. Yeah.
How much time have we done?
For the moment, we made 1 hour and 20 minutes.
Ooh.
Yeah.
I'll take 1 minute
Sure.
To finish.
to do the example.
Yes.
Okay. Very good.
Yeah, I could take 10, 15. Here's what you would have seen if you were observing and listening to the operator. The customer says, get me Skyline 1 7054 right away. She puts down a 9 and circles irritated. And she answers, was that Skyline 1 7055? Yeah. So then she says, have a good day. And the guy says, yeah, and you too.
Ah.
And after several hundred of those, the gets, I'm speaking to more people than anybody in the world one-on-one. And I'm having a little teeny impact on them depending on how, what I let express myself through me. If I'm in reaction, I just cover up. Yes, Skyline 1 7054. I know better than to be angry. And I know better than to stress myself out. Some of them didn't know that. That's the reason for the 8. When you have to grade it, is it an 8 or a 7 or a 10? You have to listen. And that puts the sound at a distance. And that distance keeps it from coming into what would hurt inside you.
Yeah.
So then they learned. I asked them, how many voices do you hear? They say 40 different tones of voice. And how many do you express on the way back? Well, probably reactions to those 40. And what qualities would you like to express if you were allowed to express anything you wanted to the particular sound that you heard? So depending on who it was, they gave an answer, and the game became, oh, it wasn't always a change. If it happened to be a warm voice, but they had strong voices, competent voices, exactly. I mean, they had all kinds of voices they might want to express. But they could even do some of those and warmth at the same time. For humanness.
Yeah.
So that's it. And the only hard part was the first line managers of the operators that wanted to take the credit for the courtesy changes. Oh yeah, we told them how to be courteous. Must have been us. Anyway, a little hurdle to get through there. And then to explain it to other companies who didn't want to do anything like their brother or sister company in California. Like, Southern company or a Middle Eastern company or Boston company. We don't want to do any of this California stuff. So that's it. Otherwise, word got around and it seeped up to the vice president. And he said, I wonder what he did. Never tried to see. But I'll affirm it. Okay. I think I went over my 20 seconds.
The final question is from Hankins. I think it's our Hankins whom we all know, I guess, you and me, and
Kia asked.
from the USA, and he's asking, how would you like to see the inner game evolve in the future?
Deeper in its foundation and wider in its applications. So greater outreach, public, corporate, different levels. I might start in the corporations at mid or lower level. Let it seep upwards. Maybe.
Okay. Thank you very much, Tim. Thank you very much for your time.
I am so sorry. Can't you put them on for a second? Can you put them on to that channel, wide channel that shows everybody?
No, because it's being transferred to YouTube. So yeah.
YouTube can't see people.
Yes.
Too many people to get permission from.
Yes.
Okay. Thank
So-
you all very, very much.
Thank you very much, Tim. I would just like to mention you will see under the video the URL, but if you want more information about Tim, about his trainings, about everything, it's on theinnergameinstitute.com. You will have it written with a link also beneath the video. If you want to have more information about us, about Natalie and myself, you also have the URL beneath the video. Very shortly, you will have also the subtitles of that video in English and in French. So this will be the work of a few days, but it will be very soon available, and we'll let you know by email. Thank you very much.
Thank you to Andrew Mount, to Debbie, to Brad, to Miriam, to Paolo, to Alexei. Well, and of course, Tim, it was absolutely fantastic to have you, the creator, the man, the teacher.
And, I'm just a human being who have subdued the one that wants to be somebody.
No.
I'd rather not know who's coming forward. And it's working fine.
Excellent.
But I want everyone to realize that Train the Trainer is happening on May 30th. Renato, you're not alive. Can you make Renato alive?
Yes.
Yes, he just has to switch the video on,
Okay,
the audio.
pretty soon. What's March 20th?
Hi, hello everybody.
Hello.
Michelle, thank you. Thank you. It was a pleasure to be with all of you, many different countries. So thank you, Michael, for this help.
Is there some
then-
translation available when people come?
There,
Go ahead.
yeah, go, Renato.
Yeah, I think you have translation later in the YouTube channel, correct?
Yeah.
Good. We will have our next program starting next Saturday from different areas. Also, we are receiving people from different countries, and you can go visit our website, theinnergameinstitute.com, that you can find there all the explanations about this, the inner game Train the Trainer.
Yeah.
So thank you again.
Thank you so much. And yeah, we hope
Oh, the
to.
Inner Game Institute in English.
Yes. Theinnergameinstitute.com.
Yes.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Tim. Thank you.
What times on the weekend, Renato?
It's very early in the morning for you.
Well, what time are you using?
Yeah, is U.S. Eastern Time.
Eastern Time. Okay.
Yeah. All the information is on the website.
Yeah.
Okay,
Okay.
Michael. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Renato. Thank you, Tim. And thank you all who are listening to this masterclass. And we see you very soon. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Again,
Thank you, Tim.
Mikkel. Thank you, Natalie.
Thanks.
Thank you.
So what do I do to leave? I leave.